Okay, so we're back with another how-to video. Today we're going to be running through fuel pumps and what to do if one of them stops working. So we have one of our 1405 fuel pumps. I've taken the top of it off here. Now, one of the main things you'll find going wrong with them is the valves. Now, the valves are held inside by this little sandwich plate here. So you can see if I pop that out, pop those two out there. Now, these valves are fantastically well made, but if there's debris or anything going through the system, they can seize and stick. So what I'll show you. So this little disc inside needs to rotate free, and as you can see, it's catching ever so slightly. Now that catch just means that the valve disc won't shut properly when the valve is operating, when the pump is operating, which means that you can occasionally get ticks, or you won't get the fuel shutting off properly, which will lead to additional fuel going in through your system, so it can overflow your float bowl and things like that. Now, they're really easy to swap if you need to do it. All you've got to do is say, take your coil housing off, and I've kept the coil housing in one piece, so all your armature guides are still in there, because otherwise they'll fall across the floor and they're a nightmare to pick back up again. But you basically take the coil assembly off, you'll then find a sandwich plate bolted on top, you unscrew that, you'll have a pair of what we call pepper pots, which sit on top of the valve. Those can be pried off, and then I say you have the valve assemblies in there. So the valves can come out really, really easily. As I say, it might take a little bit of fiddling if they've been there for a while, because the gaskets can sometimes seal to the valves. So you might need to use something like this, or a set of pliers, just a little bit of force, not too much, because you don't want to distort the valves. But as you can see, you've got a filter assembly on the back as well. Now, while these filters do catch most things, if you've got really small bits of debris running through your fuel system, they can occasionally get stuck and work their way through. And all it will take is the smallest little bit just to catch in there. And as you can see there, that disc won't move anymore because it's been caught. But as I say, it's very easy to repair if needs be. If something like that happens, the valves are available from stock if you want to do it yourself, or we have a team down here in our production department that can do it for you as well. Now, we also have one of our AUA 25s, which is dropped off today by a customer. Now, again, one of the big things to go wrong with these is the valve assemblies. Now, the valves on these are slightly different. So unscrew your outlet there. And you've got a valve cage inside. Now, this brass valve cage, as you can see, has a small brass disc in it. Now, with this, what you want to make sure of is that the disc is free moving. If the disc is locked in position, then the pump won't work because there's nowhere for the fuel to go through. So you give it a little shake, you should hear a little jingle. I'm hoping the mic picked that up. Make sure that's all clear. Another thing to check is, I don't know if you can see in there, there is a small disc. Now, on the newer models of AUA 25, it's a plastic disc. In the older models, it was a brass disc. Now, this disc can seize over time, especially with the higher ethanol content in more modern fuels. If the pump is left to sit for any length of time, you get that little gunky residue which can stick things in place. So as you can see, you just pop that out. So that's the disc now clear. But I don't know if you can see in the video, there's like a little ring or residue around the outside. So that's from fuel buildup where it's been left to stand for a length of time. You'll also notice on the outside, you've got lots of sort of little residue marks and things like that where it's been left for a length of time with fuel and things sitting in it. Now, I mean, these are the main things that can go wrong with a fuel pump. One of the other things to bear in mind is, depending on the age of the pump, sometimes the diaphragm can seize. So with this one, as you can see, so it's been unscrewed from the pump assembly. I'll just take the screws out. And as you can see, the gasket on top is completely seized to the diaphragm, and the diaphragm itself doesn't really want to come away. It's quite hard. Now, I'll try and pry this off. So as you can see, that's seized up quite badly. These diaphragms should be fairly flexible just to allow that pump to continue working. Now, where it's left to stand for a long period of time, the diaphragm hardens, which means you'll get lower response from your pump, you'll get a lower flow rate and lower pressure running through it. So you can see, that doesn't really want to move. So that's another thing to consider is, depending on the age of your pump and how long it's been standing, these diaphragms can wear themselves out and suddenly seize up. Now, getting them apart it can be a bit of a nightmare once they're seized. They can go rock solid, and you have to end up using something like a screwdriver underneath to pry it away. Now, we don't recommend doing this because you do run the risk of puncturing the diaphragm. So if you're worried about your diaphragm being seized up, I generally recommend contacting our customer service team and getting it sent back to us for inspection and repair. Now, if you do want to do it at home, the diaphragms are available separately. They're available as part of our EPK repair kits, which come with all the necessary components to rebuild the interiors of the pumps. Now, you get your diaphragms, you get your rocker assemblies, which go in top. You've also got your armature guides, which are in there. You'll have your gaskets and seals, which will sit on the interiors of the pump. You'll also have things like your contact blade, which is another thing that can potentially stick if it's not oiled correctly. Now, with rocker assemblies, I'll just see if I can get this open and show you. So as you can see from the rocker assembly on the top, you have the rocker and the contact blade beneath. Now, there are two sets of points, one on the contact blade and one on the rocker itself. Now, these two need to connect in order for the pump to continue working. But if you just have two bare metal connections connecting to one another, they're going to spark, and then you'll have things like carbon scoring, which affects the connection. Now, what we would suggest, well, what we do here before they leave us is we apply a few drops of oil to the rocker assembly just to allow smooth action and just to make sure that there's nothing that's going to stick while the rocker's running. Now, if at any point you've had to clean your rocker assembly, you may have removed that oil. So literally just a couple of drops, just one there and one there on those contact points will just allow this rocker to continue to move freely. Now, those are really the key things. It's one of the biggest things is usually a valve. Now, the valves, as I say, if you've got an old fuel system with old fuel lines, you can in case you get bits of debris running through it. If you've got the bottom of the tank's been dredged, if you haven't used it in a while and you're just sucking up the last bits of dregs of fuel, it can suck through, get caught in your filter assembly, and then as it disintegrates in the filter, it can get stuck in your valve. It's nothing to panic about. It's something that can be fixed very, very quickly, very, very simply, either by yourselves on site or if you want to send it back to Berlin for a repair. As I say, those are the main things, really. They're the main parts that can clog up and jam up while a pump is running, really. There's not too many other options. There's not too many other issues to watch out for. As I say, the pumps are really designed to run as long as possible with as little maintenance as possible. They're tested here to as high a degree as we can. We build to sort of a set standard. If they don't pass that particular standard, they don't go out to the customer. I'm sure you've seen already, we have a testing station that uses our pumps. They run them for between sort of 20 minutes, half an hour, just to ensure that the pumps are running normally. They're run at full flow, which is I believe our maximum pressure setting is about 3.8 psi. So we run them as hard as possible, as long as possible, to make sure that the pumps aren't going to suddenly stop. Well, I hope you found this helpful. If you do have any other things you'd like us to cover or any other how-to manuals you'd be interested in, please let us know in the comments. That'll be everything. Thank you for looking at our instructional video.